Hello, my fellow patriots. This is Alex with Disabled Vets Perspective, and this is Belinda. Hello, Belinda. Welcome to
Hi,
another week of
everybody.
Inside Veterans Affairs. We have an interesting show this evening. I got a request from one of my patriot family to discuss some issues about losing a veteran and where to start and that kind of thing. So uh, we will be touching on that today. Belinda, what do you have for us this week?
Well, veteran stuff isn't something that's veteran information, veterans news doesn't happen sometimes every week or, daily where there's something pretty interesting going on. But what I did find out for our veterans is that Arlington National Cemetery by 2050 could be out of space. So they're
Wow, everybody's just
proposing.
dying to get in there.
Uh, let's see, in a press release from this Wednesday, the Army said that it has made a decision uh, after more than 2.5 years of thoughtful deliberation and public outreach. Arlington National Cemetery, the national shrine for Americans, but especially for those who served our great nation, must ensure it can honor those who have lost their lives or have died in the years to come. Uh, Expanding will not alleviate the demand for burial space. So they might start reducing who is eligible to go into the cemetery. You would still be able to be buried at a veteran cemetery, just maybe not at Arlington. It would
Yeah.
be for the proposal is approved for those who were killed in action, awarded the Silver Star or above, Purple Heart, combat-related service death while conducting unique military operations, hence, I guess, CIA, FBI, or whatever, presidents and
Mm-hmm.
vice presidents, veterans with combat service who also served out of uniform as a government official and made significant contributions to public service. So,
Okay.
we all knew that it was limited
Um.
space. I mean, there's
Oh
only,
yeah.
who was that? Roy Rogers said, "Buy land, God's not making any more of it." So, we know that space is limited,
Right.
and they're going to have to do what they're going to have to do. But everyone will still be eligible to be buried at their, wherever they want at their, Jacksonville has I think it's called the National Cemetery or a Veterans National Cemetery or something like that. So,
Yeah,
but
we
if
got
you
one
want
at
to
the
go,
Navy base over here. So
yeah. So if you
yeah,
want to go to
they're all over the
Arlington,
place. So
you need to kick it
get
before
on the list.
2050.
Well, that would help. Just want to take a minute and wave my hand. We got Colleen, Dangerous Freedom, I Bleed American DM is here, of course, and we have Propus joined us. We'll have a bigger gathering here in a few minutes after American Joe finishes up his prayer and his show, and then people will be over this way. He comes on right before me, but yeah. So not good news if you want to die and be in Arlington, but you know no rush. People should stick around and take advantage of life as long as they can.
I want to be like
Um,
Colleen. I want cremation. That's
yeah,
what I want
I'm an
for.
Apache. The only problem is they won't use funeral pyres anymore. Sandra's here. Hey, good to see you. Um, if it were up to me, I'd be put out in the woods on a funeral pyre, and after the animal that chooses to be my spirit guide shows up to carry off my spirit, then they can set fire to it, and then I'd be good to go.
I'm
But
good with it. Yeah,
can't have everything.
those pesky
Not
health
getting
regulations.
notifications. Yeah, that's a thing. Hmm. Yeah, but I'm not that unhealthy. I mean, physically, I guess. Well, there'd be a lot of bacteria, maybe, but can't help that.
I don't want to be
But
buried
anyway,
anywhere.
so
Period.
yeah, I don't want to be put in a box. I don't believe in that kind of thing. I just anyway. So um, as far as the headlines that we have this week in intergovernmental affairs, there are only three new ones, and it's VA appoints a new chief data officer, which I find interesting because you would think that the data officer, I guess the old one that was replaced, wasn't prepared for all this new systems that they have with iPads and remote medical and all that other stuff. So they got themselves a new chief data officer. So let's see, VA Department of Veteran Affairs announced the appointment of wow, I guess Kishmendra Paul, Executive Director of Data Governance and Analytics, and the Department of Chief Data Officer. So, I hope you don't have to yell that name out in a hurry.
Hey, you.
But yeah, it would be something because Kashmendra is just hard to spit out. But anyway, so the next one there was VA strengthens caregiver support program and expands timeline of the program of comprehensive assistance for family caregivers. So that's interesting.
Well, that
Says
needs to be done.
yeah, absolutely. Says the Department of Veterans Affairs announced actions to strengthen the caregiver support program and establish a timeline for expanding the program of comprehensive assistance for family caregivers in accordance with the Section 161 of the VA Mission Act of 2018. So essentially, they're updating it to correlate with the newest VA Mission Act. For I imagine it goes to the outside care and things. Um, let me let me open this just to see. Give it a second. History Bees here. Hello, hi Kay. Good to see you, Fred. I ducked. Welcome. Speakeasy is here too. I saw that too. So everybody drink up. We got a speakeasy. Nobody will know about it. Um, let's see. Under the Mission Act, VA will expand the PCAFC to eligible veterans from all eras using the phased approach. Currently, the program is only available to eligible veterans seriously injured in the line of duty on or after September 11th, 2001, prior to expanding. VA must upgrade its information technology IT system and implement other improvements to strengthen the program. I would say so. If they're only going back to 2011, what about our World War II vets that are still alive that need assistance? Um, it says caregivers play a critical role in the health and well being of some of the most vulnerable veterans, said the VA Secretary Robert Wilkie. Under the Mission Act, we are strengthening and expanding the program to positively impact the lives of veterans and deliver the best customer experience to them and their caregivers. Yes, folks, we have graduated from numbers to customers. We are no longer a number, we are a customer. So, anyway, in a nutshell, that one is explained that they are just trying to catch up the Caregivers Act with the Mission Act. But
And I think also what's happening, some of the stories that I've read, is they're running out of skilled nursing services. So if you can keep your
right,
veteran at home, but then also, people have to work, there's, money involved. So they have to tighten up that program so people can, be compensated, not compensated like I'm doing
yeah,
work, but just to help to survive, because the VA is running out of places. And the population's getting older. We're going through that metamorphosis right now with the with Korea and
hey,
the
speak for
World War II and
yourself.
Korea vets. We're going through that phase right now, and we've got a big
Right.
aging population right now.
Yeah, some of us. I'm going backwards. I chose to stop celebrating after 45, so
Gotcha.
I'm actually counting back now.
Yeah, I'm 24.
Mark Mark B. The choice program is still difficult to use. I do understand that it's still in its infancy as far as government program goes. Um, a gentleman that uh, was on Facebook contacted wrote a statement about his experience, and all I can say is that if you are having trouble with the program, your representative is there to help. In most cases, I can say, but this man had to go through his representative because the in the choice program they wouldn't pay for his emergency room bills. But once he went through his representative, it was fairly quick, and they picked up the bills and carried on with them. But so,
Yeah, and
anyways,
we talked about
use your
that last
representatives.
week. Last week, where
Yeah,
they said that they're relooking at all of those bills, and if people still have bills, to go ahead and turn them over to the VA for reprocessing. So they are
right.
trying to get a grip on that.
Yep. So anyway, the only other headline here is that Secretary Wilkie will be his statement on upcoming visit to South Dakota. There's an upcoming visit on. It was on our anniversary, the 27th. So he met with the representatives in South Dakota, and if you wanted to read that statement, it's in the Office of Public and Intergovernmental Affairs. But it's going to be a lot of smoozing and bragging and stuff like that. So I'm not going to really bother reading it right now. It's pretty much self-admitting attaboys and stuff. But so, what do you have, Belinda?
Well, looking into veterans things, Bernie Sanders came up on the radar, and Bernie put out a little tweet. You know, everybody's got a tweet. I just don't have time to be tweeting. Um, if you
Too
can't
many twits on
afford
Twitter.
to, oh, yeah, if you can't afford to take care of your veterans, then don't go to war. That's Bernie Sanders' take on veterans. If you can't afford them, like, like where, government cheese or something. Uh,
Right.
so Dan Crenshaw, of course, had his way with uh, Bernie Sanders earlier this week, and he's a fiery kind of guy, and he's somebody that Twitter, yeah, he's somebody that I like to watch, and he's someone that I like to listen to speak. And he put Bernie in his
Mm-hmm.
place. He's just not going to have this man running to be, for president of the United States of America say, well, if you can't afford him, don't go to war. It's just that simple. It's just
Right.
nothing in life is just that simple. And what does he expect to do with all the current veterans? So what
Yeah.
his
It's
tweet was, he tweeted back, watching Bernie pander to different groups to get their vote has always disgusted me, but now it's personal. I didn't go to war so that you could take care of me, Bernie. I went because I wanted to serve our country and our country needed it. Period.
yeah.
Exactly. I did not go for Bernie Sanders. I did not go for Kamala Harris. I did not go for Donald Trump, or who was the president when I went in, Reagan, I think. Yeah, I didn't go. I went for the country. I did not go for an individual. I went for the whole.
Right.
And that's what
California
most.
critic asked. I'm sorry. Just he asked, was Bernie Sanders a draft dodger? And I don't know absolutely for sure, but I know that he moved onto a hippie compound, and they sort of lived there off the radar, and he got removed from it. He got kicked out because he wouldn't do anything. He wouldn't help with the daily activities so that people could all survive on the commune. So he got kicked out of a hippie compound. So I don't
That's
know if he's
kind
a
of hard
draft
to do.
dodger. Yeah, I know.
Bernie.
But it shows that he's never done a real job. He's a multimillionaire because he's been in government, and there's something that's got to be looked at with that. But also, I've noticed that more Republicans are starting to get a little more aggressive towards the Democrats that are being stupid. They're starting to call them out, and I don't know what the hell has taken so long.
Well, Bernie Sanders was not a draft dodger. He was a conscientious objector.
Conscientious observer.
And the
Okay.
difference is nothing to me, but that was he applied for conscientious objector status during the Vietnam War. So
Yeah.
there you
The
go.
thing is, when you apply for that, that just means that you get put into the rears. You can be put into the support aspect of things, and you don't have to go do combat. But that usually doesn't mean you have a ticket out. It just means that in a draft situation, you would become a support member as opposed to a combat veteran
Well,
or a
his
combat officer.
application was eventually turned down, at which point he became too old to be drafted. So, looky there. Let's
Wow.
play the
Well,
game.
he's too
Let's
old to be president,
play
too.
play the game. But I do want to give a little toot toot to disabled vets perspective. But do you remember what we were
I'm
talking
sorry, did
about?
I toot?
No, a little woohoo to us. Do you remember what
Oh,
we were
okay.
talking
I was going
about
to say,
4 months?
excuse me.
Yeah, I heard it all the way over here. Shoot. Uh, do you remember what we were
4 months
talking
ago,
about?
what were we talking
Well,
about?
we were talking about the Ukraine, Crimea, Biden, his son, and
Oh, yeah.
Carrie's
I
son.
remember.
Yeah,
Hey, Pete.
we we were talking about that before it was in the news. We were wondering why Biden
Oh, yeah.
wasn't under investigation. And lo and behold, here it's happened. But now they're trying to make it Trump's fault when Biden
Yes.
and Kerry and Rosemont, which are all things that we talked about 4 months ago when Biden threw his hat into the
Right.
ring. We talked about these
Well, there's
things.
also yeah, there's another very interesting thing. Deb, that I listened to, her name is Deb on Truthification Chronicles.
Mm-hmm.
She put up a video a couple days ago and made just an incredible point that they're using this as their you can't interfere with an election tactic with Biden. But again, at the same time, people like Cory Booker, Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren are on these committees that are asking questions of witnesses that are then they use their time to bash the president in their professional positions. And isn't that the same thing as the other, where it's interfering with an election when uh, you're trying to impeach the current president that will be your competitor in the next election?
Well, that's what they've
I
been
mean, it
doing
was just
since
an
the day he
incredible
was elected.
question.
Yeah, it's what they've been
Yeah,
doing
no,
with
but this is
election.
direct.
That well, it's all been direct, and it's just I was kind of proud of ourselves that we were bringing this up 4 months ago, wondering what's going to happen with Biden and his criminal ways. And it's just funny how they turned the story around. Let's make this all Trump's fault. You remember Trump never held office, and all these things are now Trump's fault. Trump's been in 3 years,
Yeah.
but
Well,
everything
everybody
is
loved him
Trump's fault.
too, but
Yeah. And we, disabled vets perspective, were talking about this 4 months ago, trying to figure out what was going to happen to
yes,
Biden.
folks, you heard it here first on
So
Disabled Vets Perspective.
I just wanted to toot our horn on that we were on it and nobody was listening. And they've turned it into
Right.
Trump's fault. And just one more question. How do you investigate corruption at the highest levels with presidents and dictators of countries without dictators and presidents of countries talking to each other? What are you going to do?
Right. Well, there was
Send
also,
Sarah up in there to say, hey, president of Crimea, where
hey,
and
hey,
mob
hey.
boss, hey, where's my 1.5 billion? Yeah. Oh, Biden just threatened a judge on national TV.
Yeah, hey,
You know,
hey, hey.
hey. Yeah. So I know that's not veteran, but that's what we were talking about, looking at people who were running for office back then. So
Yeah, well, and back when Clinton was president, he signed an agreement with Crimea that required that both countries help in criminal investigations pertaining to both countries, and that was signed in 1998, I think. But so that's come out. So it's okay for him
98,
to
yeah.
coordinate
That
with Crimea, but it wasn't okay. So yeah,
98 was last millennium. I mean, come on now. Trump wasn't
right.
even
But
running
that
for
was when
president.
it was signed. But that's when this agreement was signed, and that's what Trump is doing. He's using that agreement so that they can work together to go after the criminality based on an
Gotcha.
agreement that was made by Clinton. Um, Old Reliables here. Good to see you. CLC, good to see you. Linda Hormer, Linda Horner, not Hormer. Um, let's see if I got Rooster Cogburn and Colleen O'Sullivan.
That was a
We
great
are getting
movie.
a
Sorry.
good group together. Yeah. Oh no, you're fine. Um, yeah. So Mark MC is here. So we got the MC in the house. Now we got some music, but I don't hear it yet. Um, anyway, so on the subject of today, since we went off on our political rant, um, what we need to do is we need to do a political Thursday together. Um, that way we can really go over some of the stuff that we've done. But I've asked Dangerous Freedom if he wants to come on Thursday. If he says that he has other things that he needs to do, then Belinda and I will be on Thursday. And then we'll get
Hey,
you
I
guys
might
some
even
real
be at
good
your
dirt
house.
on politics. Hey, that would be cool. Live and in person. Um, all right. So this was a request by one of you folks. I think it was California Critic that sent me this and asked that we go over what is the process if your veteran dies, because there's a lot of paperwork, a lot of hoops to go through. There's always something to deal with, and if you have at least a starting point, it will make that easier, as easy as losing a family member can be under the circumstances. Um, the first thing is you need to be the the source for some of this information is va.gov, and this is VA U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, and it's under the category of burial allowance. The first question here is how to apply for a veteran's burial allowance, and it says, "Can I get an allowance to help pay for my veteran's burial and funeral costs?" And it says you may be able to get burial allowance if you're paying for the burial and funeral costs, and if any of the below relationships or professional roles describe your connection to the veteran. One of these must describe your relationship or role. You're a veteran's survival/spouse. No, we recognize same-sex marriage too. So if you are in a same-sex marriage, VA will not discriminate against that situation for burial allowance for surviving benefactor. Uh, a surviving child of the veteran or a parent of the veteran. So these are the three things that you need in order to submit for burial benefits.
And a lot of times they
It
want the
says,
death certificate because they're paying you after the fact.
right, yeah. So that definitely will come up in the next part. But I figured starting with at least you know where to kick the dirt over on them is a good place to start. But anyway, it says to get this benefit, the veteran must not have received a dishonorable discharge, and one of the below circumstances must be true. One of these must be true of the veteran. They died as a result of a service connected disability, had been getting a VA pension and compensation when they died, or had chosen to get military retired pay instead of compensation, died while getting VA care either at a VA facility or a facility contracted by the VA, died while traveling to approved VA care, died with reopened claim for VA compensation and pension that would have qualified them to get the benefit. So if your member passed away during a claims process, then they're still qualifying for the benefit. The last one is the veteran died on or after October 9th, 1996, while a patient at a VA approved state nursing home. So, excuse me, those are the things you need off the bat in order to qualify for burial assistance. What documents and information do I need to apply? The veteran's military discharge papers, DD 214, or separation document, the veteran's death certificate, and see, there's a death certificate. Any documents you have for the cost of transporting the veteran's remains. So you need to keep your receipts. Um, They said I didn't qualify as son-in-law. Asked for what? Let's see. When I put my wife's dad's cremation on my credit card.
That's
That
ridiculous.
is, yeah, that was Mark B. I think you need to be talking to a VA service officer because I believe you'll be entitled to payment for that. Don't quote me, but I believe that to be the case. First, start with a service officer in your area. Look up VA service officer. Start there, and don't be afraid to use your elected representatives because that's what their job is. And veterans are important to most of our representatives. And I have to stress most because some of them absolutely hate veterans, and that's just a fact of life. But
Oh my gosh,
so,
Mark,
Belinda,
that's terrible. I'm sorry, I was just reading what Mark put. They would not come to the house to take his body until someone paid for it. That's,
yeah, these
you
are the horror
know,
stories that have to get out, and you've got to go through the channels to get it corrected. Uh, my father nearly didn't get buried in a veteran cemetery. See, there's a lot of this, and the reason we do what we do is because exposure and light is sometimes the best medicine. Um, our goal is never to destroy the VA, but it's to expose the things that need to be corrected with the goal of having them be corrected and
yeah,
bring everything up to par.
yep. And,
So,
nothing with the VA
what
has
do you
ever
have
been easy.
on that, Belinda? Because that's pretty much it on burial.
Well, nothing with the VA's ever been easy. I mean, I've had easier times than others, with dealing with the VA, and it's such an emotionally
No,
charged situation. And then again, going back to
it's
the
always
union,
difficult.
protecting these subpar employees. I can't say anything about someone that donates their time because what do you do about somebody that's a volunteer? The people that are paid should do their job well, period. And the union, which is my pet peeve, should not be protecting any of these people, especially during this time. I mean, that's when
Just a second.
when you've just lost someone in your
Go.
life. The last thing you need is a military uh, what was it called? Never again. No, I can wait. What is that? Russian wait or something or whatever. Uh,
Hurry up and wait.
Hurry up and wait. Yes, we should never be hurry up and waiting, especially when someone has passed away. Russian wait. I was
Never heard of
thinking
it.
of what Navy means. Never again volunteer yourself for some reason. But then, on
Right.
a good note, I do have a good veteran active duty story. If it'll load, because for some reason and
Harmony is here. How you doing?
the title of this story is
Sorry, go
pretty
ahead.
funny. This hero airman saved a child's life on the way to pick up an award for doing a bunch of other heroic stuff. And I just found that headline to be pretty priceless. But a U.S. airman recently saved a child's life on his flight back to the U.S., where he was to receive a prestigious award for being exceptional. I don't know exceptional at what. Sergeant O'Brien, a special tactics section chief assigned to the 320 Special Tactics Squadron in Japan, was named one of only a dozen outstanding airmen of the year. He served as a member of Trump's security detail for one of the summits in North Korea. He rescued someone from a burning vehicle in Korea. He played a role in rescuing a Thai soccer team
Uh
from
huh.
the cave. And during the rescue operation, he also saved the life of a Thai seal. So this guy just has hero written all over him. So 2 weeks ago, he was on a flight back to the US to receive his award uh, when a 1-year-old child lost consciousness
I'm
due to an
getting my
airway blockage.
choppy audio again, so it's hard for me to hear, but I'm sure they can hear you clearly.
The child became unresponsive, but
You
O'Brien
would
was
think since I'm
not.
having to pay for this now, the be better.
and he saved a child's life. So I think that's pretty special. Can you hear us? Hello. Can anybody hear us?
Yeah, I am trying to hear you. It's so audio is so choppy, but I think I have you now, but it's just the typical stuff. I started paying for this StreamYard instead of doing the freebie, thinking that it might improve some of the quality, and it really doesn't. I still have the glitchiest show on YouTube, but I'm very fortunate that it is not as glitchy for you folks out there as it is for me. Carl's opinion is here. How are you doing, sir? Good to see you. Um, yeah, I can. When I watch the replay, everything plays through pretty well, but it's just difficult when I'm sitting here watching and all of a sudden you black out and your audio goes away. I can't communicate with you, but people can hear you speak. So it's pretty much on my end. But anyway, so
Uh,
where were we?
well, I just wanted to share that feel good story of a super young man that has been in all kinds of treacherous situations, and he was able to
That's
save a
awesome.
1-year-old's life, and those are the good stories. It's not a veteran, but he will be a veteran one day. So thumbs
Yeah,
up to this guy. And then
yeah,
TRICARE.
it's pretty cool to save a life.
Did you see anything about TRICARE moving towards chiropractic coverage?
I did not. My father, being a physician, uh, was pretty much adamantly against chiropractors
Huh.
because they don't go to medical school. They call themselves doctor, and there are more deaths related to chiropractic services than there are in medical services under malpractice
Huh.
because snapping necks and screwing with nerves is a dangerous business. But
Well, I
anyway, so that was his part.
well, I did receive acupuncture through the VA through the choice program. I went out in town and I did have acupuncture there for a while. But chiropractic, and
Acupuncture is good.
I did have that. I did.
Acupuncture is very good. It does work. It's a Yeah, that's a good one.
But chiropractic and acupuncture services could be covered by TRICARE under a new policy uh, that's set. This is just stuff that they're thinking about to come forward in the next couple of months. So anybody that goes to the chiropractor now and enjoys that nice fresh posture, keep a lookout for that. It'll be covered in 54 hospitals, 377 clinics, and uh, it doesn't say yet if it will cover your family members or not. So it just might be for the veteran. But
Right.
I mean, we haven't had any trouble with chiropractic. I feel terrible for people that have, but just something to be
It's
looking
to
for.
each their own.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it works, it works. And that's the thing. The human body's stupid anyway. Some things work for one and don't work for the other, and it's just because we're all weird. So, that's just the way it is. Northern Tiger joined us. Good to see you. Tony Patriot came in. I appreciate you being here, brother. Um, if I haven't waved my hand, you can jump up and down and scream and throw a finger up in the air if you want. But I try to make sure I get to all of you because you're important to me. I appreciate you all hanging out with me for a hour of your lives that you could be doing anything in the world that you wanted to be doing,
Right? It's
and
so
you
humbling.
could be. Yeah, it is an honor to have you folks with us. So anyway, um, I've got a phone number here. Matter of fact, let me do that right there. And hold on just a minute. Let's see. For assistance or to ask questions about your claim status, please call the Veterans Benefits Administration National Call Center. The call center may be reached by dialing the 800 number 827-2000. By calling the 827-1000, you can check on the status of your claim and obtain tax documents. which is important. Also dealing with the death of a veteran, you will you will want to have your tax documents because those are going to be necessary for the following year. Notify the VBA of the death of a veteran or the benefit or a benefit recipient. That's an important thing. You want to notify the VA as soon as possible because if the veteran receives benefits at at that point after their death and they were not entitled to them at that point, the the government will be coming back for those benefits. So you could get a real surprise. So it's important to let the VA administration know immediately after the death of a veteran. Learn about benefits available to surviving family members and much more. Again, that's the things you can get from that 827-1000, and also to obtain a copy of your loved one's service records, DD 214. Please contact the National Archives, and that one you can look up National Archives online, or you can get directed to them dialing that 827-1000. So that is your magic number, and that's why I got it up on the screen. A lot of the information that's needed is going to come from that number. So
Very good.
make sure we have that. So what else you got, Belinda?
I've seen last week we talked about the new privacy rules that came out for us going to the VA, and I've
Oh,
seen
you
some
mean the lack
different.
of privacy rules?
Yeah, yeah, and I've seen some different things said, and about your ROI, and none of my stuff, and I none of my stuff said it had to be
Remember,
filled out by 30 September.
what is your ROI? Remember, we
Uh,
got to say out the words
release,
in case.
sorry, release of information. Um,
There it is.
a lot of people are
You're
saying it
doing
had to be.
such a good job.
A lot of people saying, and their papers might say that it has to be done by 30 September. I got a booklet and a individual sheet of paper, with the booklet, and mine didn't say that. But if you want
So if you want to
opt
maintain your
out
privacy, you
of,
need to get it in there.
if you want to end, you can go to www.va.gov backslash VLER, Rico, and opt out of the exchange of information for some of your health care. For some of it, they're still going to tell who they want to tell, when they want to tell, and how they want to tell it. So I really don't know what this is, but my philosophy is with the VA, opt out of everything and let them ask me instead
Right.
of instead of just giving them carte blanche to do whatever they want to do. You can also
Right.
call 800 number. It's 800-983-0936, Monday through Friday, 8A to 8P, and talk to their privacy officer and possibly opt out that way. So there you go. I
Okay.
wasn't able to do it though, CLC California on My Health Vet. I wasn't able to do it that way. I had to do it through this VA.gov backslash VLER. So that's all I got. I've just seen a lot of people saying,
Okay.
once 30 September rolls around, you'll never be able to do it. Some of those people's papers might say that. Mine didn't, but I would still go and opt out anyway. So,
Yeah. Okay. Well, um, just out of curiosity, what's that number again?
oh, that they're
The
way past
phone
the
number.
table. It is, the phone number is 800-983-0936, Monday through Friday, 8 to 8.
0936. Okay. So, anyways, so
And
that's a
that's
good point
to
of
opt
contact for
out of the
privacy
sharing
protection.
of protected health information through the Health Information Exchange. So,
Okay.
oh yeah, I guess I could have typed it in there. I forget to type.
Oh well, that's all right.
And
have fun here.
I'll type in this www thing to opt out.
www dot.
Wah wah wah.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you're typing that in there, and I got you easily distracted. I'm going to go on for the most important part of the reporting a veteran's death. This is the going to be the main thing for that part. It says the first step to receiving assistance and benefits for veterans' death is to report it to the appropriate agencies. Social Security can be notified by calling 800 772 1213. That's Social Security. So that would be the Social Security Administration, probably their main number. 800 772 1213. The Defense Enrollment Eligibility Reporting System, DEERS, can be notified by calling 1 800 538 9552. So that's the DEERS program. That's the second number you're going to want to call for reporting a veteran's death.
Good old dears.
If the veteran, yeah, good DEERS, the DEERS. Um, let's see. It says if the veteran is also a retiree, the Defense Finance in accordance with accounting service should be notified by calling the retiree casualty section of the DFAS at 888-332-7411. So that's if you need to play back to get those numbers that they'll be here for as long as we are able to stay on and YouTube doesn't kick our channel off. Excuse me. You can also file a DFAS form 9221 online using DFAS's fast form option at www.dfas.mil / retired military / forms dot html. So I don't want to have to say that 10 times fast. If if the veteran is also a current or retired federal civilian employee, the Office of Personal Management should be notified by calling 888-767-6738. Now, it's a uber pain in the ass, but when a veteran dies, there are procedures that you have to do, and knowing them here will make that a little bit easier. The VA should be notified depending on the benefits the veteran was receiving or the programs the veteran was enrolled in. If the veteran was receiving disability compensation or pension, call the VA Benefits Administration at 800-827-1000. That's the number that gets you the main line. If the veteran was enrolled in the VA-sponsored life insurance policy, call the VA at 800-669-8477. If the veteran was also a retiree enrolled in service members' group life insurance plan, call the VA at 800-419-1473. So I'm giving you a phone book because these are the ones that you're going to want to call to square everything away when you are in that position where you've lost a veteran. It doesn't have to be scary. All you can do is one number at a time and just manage the situation, and it should go fairly smoothly.
It should, yeah.
Yeah, you can't hold me to that. I'm just a messenger. But so you got anything else, Belinda? Because I think we are at what are we at here? We are at 7:45, so we've got some time to kill. As far as the information for veterans that have passed on, that is what I've got. So at this point, we are freelancing.
Well, with it being, Suicide Awareness Month, there's a terrible story about the aircraft carrier Bush. Three Navy sailors stationed on board the Bush died by suicide last week, making that a total of four since July. And that is
Yeah, there's
go ahead.
it's something to that. I still I still hold at least some of the stuff that I did is still classified, so I have to be careful what I say. But there are certain things on the bush that have not been used before, and they're they're linked to possible neurological situations or issues.
What?
Um, yeah, so the systems that they're working with could be affecting them neurologically, and it could, in some cases, lead to feelings of suicide and deep depression and things like that. There are problems arising from this stuff. So it's something to keep an eye on, but you know,
Well, what it
I
says
can't be
is,
the one to discuss it necessarily,
well, they say that it's currently on a 28-month plan dry dock in Norfolk, which
right?
began the 21st of this year. The rash of suicides began in July when Norfolk police started an investigation into machinist mate third class John Bartowitz, becoming the first member aboard the Bush to commit suicide since 17. Then, within 1 week in September, one on the 14th and two on the 19th, three more crew members died by suicide. They include Chief Petty Officer James Shelton, AO First Class Petty Officer Vincent Floorline, and Airman Ethan Stewart. Um,
Just
on
real quick, let me just mention something real quick here in the chat. Sorry, but Mark B, just a little heads up. I see that you subbed, and I appreciate that. And as far as that goes, I can say subscribed, I can talk sub, and all this other. But if you put it in the chat, it can create a hit by their tube. They will give strikes for things like I subscribe to you and that kind of stuff. But also, the reason that we really emphasize no swearing in the chat, same reason, because their tube will flag your chat and flag your video for the most stupid things. They look for any excuse in the world to drop a conservative channel. So just a couple of heads ups, and great douchebag. Good to see you, brother. Glad you're here. So also Raymond Kisner got in here, so welcome. So anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I saw that
That's all
he
right.
said I subscribed, and I sincerely appreciate that. But we just have to drop the S word. It's just a stupid thing that their tube is starting to do now to try to give an excuse to get rid of us.
Well, I wrote that on
Anyway,
a
so
bunch
carry
of
on.
y'all's channels, so I'm
Yeah, no, and
sorry
it's probably been
because
removed.
I had no idea.
The,
Who would
the
have
mods,
thought?
yeah, our mods take care of it, and but sometimes when they get dropped, they have a question, and it's just I gave a quick example of what they do because a lot of times you'll see somebody say I subscribe to, and then all of a sudden one of the mods will go delete message because they have to. So anyway, so that's that.
Well,
So where were you?
The Navy released records earlier this month that there have been 46 active duty members and four reservists who have died by suicide since January 1st until the 5th within this Navy Yard. Uh, the number of suicides and self-inflicted deaths. See, and that goes back to that statistic that we were reading, what kind of suicide it is. Um,
Right.
where to go? Uh, the self-inflicted deaths in the Navy have generally increased since 2016. And this is
Yeah.
only for the Navy because you know how studies are and statistics are. In 2018,
Right.
there were 68, which is about 20.7 per 100,000 members. So it's just a crazy statistic. But again, if you have thoughts of suicide, if you know someone that's on the edge, please call me, call Alex, call your neighbor, go to the Jiffy store and talk to somebody, do something. But
Yeah.
it's easy for me to say sitting here, this too shall pass, but it will pass. And there's people out there that
Yeah.
want to help you and can help you. And, you know, just reach out
Yeah.
those
There
big
are
old
people that will
fat
get
mitts.
involved if you
Yeah, absolutely.
you don't even have to talk to them necessarily about your feelings, but just sometimes getting out and just talking to somebody can change your feelings. So you have to be the first one to try and make an effort to improve your feelings and your self worth and that kind of thing. But also to the other people that know veterans that you might see sudden changes in their behavior. You need to watch for that kind of thing. You need to be asking what's going on in their lives and ask them if they're still happy, healthy, and everything's good to go. Because sometimes asking directly is you're going to be amazed at the answers you get. So you can't be afraid to ask, because if you're afraid to ask, you may lose that one. Um, Definitely no fear. But
Who is it? Dangerous Freedom just said, "My
yeah,
pets keep me sane." I went through a period in my
that
life
helps.
that was very scary. And one day, that great husband of mine over there came home with that little white dog that I was just holding. She's 12 years old now, and I hated that dog. You just, I mean, she barked and she wanted my attention, and I had to do things for her, and that dog saved my life. And I don't know,
Yep.
I don't know what I would do without a little white fur ball. The
Yeah,
animals
this
are a
one
special thing.
this one turned 18 this month, so we finally figured it out. But he's been to Turkey. He's been all over the country with me, riding in a truck, and he's been slowing down the last couple of weeks. We're not going to have him that much longer, but he made a difference in the quality of life when we got him. So that it really is amazing what an animal can do to help improve something. And that might be something to consider. If you know a veteran that's having a hard time and they don't have a canine pal, you might go to the shelter and get them one. I mean, it really does help. Um,
Yeah.
so anyway, I think we are. What are we at right here? We are at 6:53. Did you have anything else that you wanted to finish up with? Because I'm gonna close out the show with an announcement.
Oh, I do. I have something real quick that Russian troll factories are actively targeting veterans groups. So, of course,
Interesting.
yeah, it just reset, of course. The Russian toll factories that sought to influence the 2016 election have continued to target service members, veterans, and their families with divisive messages. And after a very long investigation, they're trying to pit uh, uh, VA group against VA group. They're putting out bogus informations on legitimate veterans organizations. Their goal is to confuse. Imagine we don't need any more confusion. The VA is
How the
confusing
hell?
enough.
How the hell do you fight something like that?
What you have
I
to
mean,
do, you have to research. Then you have to research the website you were just on, because sometimes the website is they'll add an S to it, or there'll be a
oh
comma
right.
or something. You have to research what you just researched before you ever open your mouth, because like you were saying, Alex, people come on here, they spend their time listening to you, listening to me prattle on, and the last thing we ever want to do is give out bad information. And that's all they're trying to
No,
do
we
is
try to
make this
double check
country.
everything.
Uh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But
Um,
so just watch who
Rebel
you're looking
Jack.
at and watch what websites you go on, because it could just be a BS one. Sorry,
Yeah,
cousin.
and also that .gov versus .org and all
Org.
these
Yep.
others. You gotta,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you gotta get the right dot behind it. Rebel Jack mentioned. I think I've heard something like pets for vets before. Um, I'm gonna look into that. I'll mention something next week if I find something on that, because I have in the vague distance heard something about that, and
Oh,
that really does make a difference. What's
Did
up?
y'all hear about the FBI thing that they put out? They just put it out here at our base about going to see the opening week of the Joker movie.
Oh yeah, I've
Uh,
heard this. It's their fear
okay,
mongering. Yeah. So just
well,
make
I
sure you're
can tell
packing.
you. Well, I can tell you that it was put out at the base. We have friends that work out there, and it was a for real little thing in their morning briefing about this movie. It's obviously a legit threat. They're taking it legitimately. So, if you're going to
Yeah.
see the Joker movie, be aware. That's all I can say is be aware
Just
because
stay
people are
packing and get
crazy.
cracking.
People are
And
crazy.
that's if you got them, flaunt them. All right. Well, this is what are we at now? We are at 56. So we got 4 minutes left. I wanted to end our show with a announcement. Um, that's a thing where we actually give you information and you receive it, but that's not important right now. On the 1st of October, starting at 7:30 p.m., going all the way around the clock till 10 p.m. on the 2nd of October, will be Operation Border Command. You can text OBC to 53445 for details, or you can go to bordercommand.com. It will be a 24-hour live fundraising event to raise money for American Joe and Douglas Ducote and their team to go down to the southern border and expose the entire southern border. They will have 2,000 miles in 20 days with two stops a day, interviews along the way, and this is not going to be a free trip. They're going to have a team of producers, and they're going to have satellite equipment because they don't have direct access to internet in a lot of those places. So it's not going to be a free trip, and it's not going to be a cheap trip. So we're doing a 24-hour videothon to bring awareness and raise money for this event. And Belinda and myself will be on at 12:30 Eastern Time on the 2nd of October. I know it's late. It's the bewitching hour, but if you guys happen to be awake, you got to come see us because it'll be a lot of fun. We'll be discussing the border, our take on it, some information that we have on it personally, and it should be an interesting ordeal. So I wanted to make sure that that shout out went out again. That starts on Tuesday, folks, 7:30 p.m. Make sure you are there. Show your support. Let's help get this thing done and show the government that we, the people, can expose the truth. We don't have to depend on them. All right. So, Belinda, you have anything you want to say on the way out? Good
It's
talk. All right.
suicide.
Thanks.
It's Suicide Awareness Month. Keep your buddies in your uh, in your sights.
Now, Pete the Patriot will be on at 1:30 a.m. Wow. There's a 1:30 a.m. also. I thought they ended after 1:30 p.m. But no, I'm usually not even asleep by then. But anyway, so we're going all the way around the clock, and we'll be there. So I think that's all we've got for you folks. I hope that was able to answer some questions about the death benefits and information needed to follow through with after the death of a veteran. It's a sick subject. It's a hateful subject to talk about, but it's also life, so it helps to make it a little easier. But anyway, so with that, y'all, I have to thank all my mods. You guys are kicking ass. You're taking names, and you're doing a great job. All of my guests that joined us this evening. We really enjoy you guys. It really makes the show go when we have such great people hanging out with us for an hour or so. But anyway, until next time, y'all, you know what to do. What do, Belinda?
We
Say it.
stay in the fight.
All right. Good night, folks.